regulations we'd impose would be reasonable under the circumstances.
Miss White?
What the plaintiff's regulation would do is make it impossible for the chief crime fighter of the century to do his job effectively.
Regulations applying to apply to Superman just like everyone else. He can get to a takeoff very quickly enough to get his job done and save our ears.
Miss White?
Case preposterous. Crash has found a couple of people who can only offer opinions as to what they think is happening because of Superman's crime. Dr. Bombastic, the person on the government payroll, is not sure whether anyone is harmed by a split-second exposure to a hurricane-type sound. She agrees with us.
I remember. I was a little tight.
Well, that's okay.
Look, you cannot get with the state of Italia. We will show that of all people in the world, Geppetto is the only true and natural parent of the Pinocchio. He's always acted as a father, and the child calls him father. With regards to the allegations of neglect.
If Geppetto did everything within his power to save Pinocchio, therefore Pinocchio should stay with his father. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This case is now closed.
You may be seated.
You may proceed with your case, Miss Manning.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is a case of criminal trespass. Two children were left alone in the woods and entered Miss Imelich's property and commenced eating a home. Now, the evidence will prove beyond a reasonable doubt that these children willfully and unlawfully entered and damaged the property. The evidence will show that the children maliciously intended to destroy the property of Miss Witch. Society needs to teach those who commit crimes that they will pay for their actions. We need to teach them a lesson. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you will be shown by the witnesses that Hansel and Gretel Foreman are completely innocent of the charge. While it is true that they did enter the property of Miss Witch, it was not with the intent to do damage. Under the criminal trespass statute, there has to be intent to do damage or actual damage. There is no such damage in this case. Thank you.
The prosecution may call its first witness.
I'd like to call Miss Imowich to the stand. What damage would you estimate was caused to your home?
There was gumdrops missing from my door, a candy cane missing from my window shutter, and a large section of graham crackers and frosting missing from my roof.
Thank you, Miss Witch. No further questions.
Miss Witch, if that is your real name.
Objection.
Stick with the case.
Miss Witch, when did you first notice the children in your yard?
Well, as I stated before, I heard something, and when I looked, there they were.
Was this the first time you had been outside of your home on the morning of August 18th?
Yes, it was. The weather was just horrible for about a week, and I was unable to go outside.
When was the last time you actually saw the outside of your house?
I had not really been outside since the morning of August 13th.
No further questions.
I would like to call Mr. Fixit to the stand.
Raise your right hand. Sure to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
And how long have you worked for your employer?
I work for Jack of All Trades Incorporated. I've worked there almost 15 years.
Were you contacted by Miss Witch?
Yes, she said she needed her house repaired and would like me to give her an estimate on the damage to the house.
Did you inspect Miss Witch's home?
Yes, there's extensive damage to the roof. The doorknob was missing and a portion of the window shutter was missing.
How much damage would you estimate was caused to Miss Witch's home?
My calculations showed close to $450 worth of damage.
Your Honor, I ask that this estimate for repairs be marked as Plaintiff's Exhibit A for identification.
I have no objections.
Mr. Fixit, do you recognize this document which has been marked as identification for Plaintiff's Exhibit A?
Yes, I do. It is an estimate for repairs to the property of Miss Witch dated August 25th.
Have you ever seen it before?
Yes, it is the same one that I compiled August 25th after a visit to Miss Witch's home. See, there's my signature and my company's logo.
Your Honor, I offer that this document for repairs be marked as Plaintiff's Exhibit A for identification and ask the court to so admit it.
Very well. Plaintiff's Exhibit A is admitted if there are no objections from the defense.
No objections.
So admitted.
Thank you, Mr. Fixit. No further questions.
When you first arrived at the home of Miss Witch, what is your overall impression of the house and yard?
The house was not in good condition. There are many things that needed repairing besides the things I mentioned before.
What was the condition of the yard?
The yard was a mess. There are things scattered all over the place.
In your opinion, what could have caused this type of damage?
Objection. Irrelevant. Gosh, the defense is asking for speculation on part of the witness.
Your Honor, the witness has had 15 years in the business and is qualified to answer the question.
Overruled. You may proceed.
Mr. Fixit, please answer the question. In your opinion, what could have caused this damage?
In my opinion, it looked as if there had been a terrible windstorm. The condition of the house and yard was battered and strewn with debris.
Thank you for your testimony, Mr. Fixit. I have no further questions.
I would like to call Ms. Law and Order to witness stand.
Raise your right hand.
The Lost and Hungry Police Department.
How long have you worked for the police department?
I've worked there almost 24 years. I plan to retire in the next year.
Tell us what happened on the afternoon of August 18th.
Well, I was making my rounds in the Lost and Hungry Forest. I have been making the same rounds for the last 23 years and have never encountered much excitement. I was passing by the home of Miss I'm a Witch when I heard some terrible screaming coming from inside the house.
What happened next?
I immediately ran to the door and knocked. No one answered, so I hesitated for a moment. The screaming continued. I ran in and saw Miss Witch's feet dangling from the oven. She was screaming to high heaven.
What did you do then?
I opened the oven and let her out. She grabbed me and gave me a great big hug. She thanked me over and over again for saving her life.
Did she ever state how she got in the oven?
No, not at that time. She kept ranting and raving about a little girl.
What happened next?
She was so distraught, I took her to the hospital for an examination. On the way out of the home, I noticed what a terrible mess the yard was. The fence was completely gone. This was very unusual because Miss Witch has always been a stickler for keeping a beautiful yard.
What did you find out at the hospital?
The witch was suffering from shock caused by first-degree burns on her hands and top of her head. The hospital kept her overnight for observation.
Did the witch ever state how she got in the oven?
Yes. The next day when I went back to the hospital, she gave me her statement from my report.
What is in the report?
The report states that Gretel Portman pushed the witch into the oven.
No further questions. Thank you, Mr. Potter.
Miss Porter, you mentioned that the yard was a terrible mess. Could you be a little more specific? What did you see?
Well, There was debris all over the yard. The roof had a big hole in it, and I went to the door. The doorknob was gone. The fence was also completely gone, as I stated before.
You mean there was no pieces of fence anywhere?
No, not that I could see. Really strange if you ask me.
No further questions.
I have no further witnesses. The prosecution rests.
Very well. You may call your first witness, Miss Butler.
Your Honor, I call Miss Foreman to the stand.
Raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Miss Foreman, please tell us what happened at your home on the evening of August 16th.
Objection. Irrelevant. What happened the night before the crime at the Corman's home has nothing to do with this case.
Your Honor, I'm trying to establish why Hansel and Gretel Foreman were away from home so far from home on the night before the alleged crime.
Objection overruled.
Miss Foreman, please answer the question.
During the day of August 16th, I was forced to leave the children home alone as I looked for work in the city. As you know, we are very poor, and any extra income would certainly help out. I left instructions with the children to finish their work before I returned.
What happened when you returned?
Well, it was getting late when I returned to find them both dancing in the kitchen. They had not finished even one job. I had a long, hard, discouraging day, and I guess I just lost my temper. I chased Hansel around the kitchen to give him the licks he had coming.
Did anything else happen?
Yes, as I chased Hansel, the milk that had been given to us for supper had accidentally knocked over and spilled. I knew there was nothing else to eat in the house, so I sent the children off to get some berries for supper. I told them to hurry and not to return until their baskets were full, because I knew their father would be very hungry when he got home.
And when did they return?
They didn't. Not that night, anyway. I got so worried about them as soon as their father returned, we went out looking for them.
Do you mean that these two children spent the night